Hey y'all, welcome back to Y'all Be Good, the podcast where we share real stories from real people. I'm your host, Ralph, and as you know, we are a project of Little Lion Cuts. On today's episode, join me and my co-host Heather as we sit down with our friend and client, Zeleiny, as she shares her journey through infertility, living with PCOS, and the powerful lessons that she's learned along the way about patience, hope, and trusting the process. Today's episode is one that's both heartfelt and deeply personal. It's a story that so many will connect with. It's raw, emotional, and even a little magical, especially when you hear how a watermelon seed plays into it. Stick around for that. So sit back, buckle up, and y'all be good.
3, 2, 1, let's go!
Well, hi.
Hello.
Like I said, thanks for making time, hanging out with us.
Of course, anytime.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to be here.
And I know we covered it already when you walked in, but pronounce your name one more time.
Yes, my name is Zeleiny.
Zeleiny.
Yes.
How do you spell it? Because it's spelled, yeah.
Yeah, so you would think it's spelled with an A. There's no A in my name. It's Zeleiny.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
Like not. And I tell people, like, they're like, how do you pronounce it? I'm like, well, Delaney with the Z. So
Sure.
then they're like, oh, okay, cool.
That's a good way to
easy.
think about it.
But then they spell it, and I'm like, it's not spelled that to me. So it's always been a thing when it's growing up. I was like, I hated my name because I had to either pronounce it for everyone, repeat it for everyone, spell it out for everyone.
Yeah.
So it was annoying. But now as an adult, I'm like, that's pretty cool. Like I don't see a lot of Zeleiny, so I'm appreciative of that.
It is a good one for sure.
Thanks.
And I feel like when we were younger too, names were very picked on.
Yeah.
So it's like if you don't have a name that someone either likes or they can pronounce, then they're gonna make it your problem and not theirs.
Exactly. And that I did come across that a couple times where there was times adults would call me like weird names, like zucchini was one of them. Like, why would my mom call me zucchini? Why would she name me that? So why would that, that? And she was really serious about it, thinking that was my name. And I'm like, no, that's not how you say it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so it was a little bit of a struggle, but I try to give my kids easier names just so that it wasn't an issue. 4-letter names, 5-letter names, because I was like, mine is 7 letters long. Learning how to spell it and write it. But it's a cool name now that I think about it. I was like, well, maybe one of my kids will name their kids that.
It is a good,
we'll see.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you have known us through the shop, basically, right?
Yes.
Like you've been visiting us for a good while here.
Yes, my first child that got a haircut was my girl. So she had her first haircut done when she was a year old. She's now 9.
Yeah.
And we only had given her one haircut because my husband is very attached to, like, he doesn't want me to cut it. He doesn't want anything to it because he's like, it's so beautiful. And I'm like, I know, but she has split ends, so let's do that. So now he was like, well, we'll give her first big girl haircut. And so we did. She came in and she got her little certificate. She was so excited about it. And then my I should say the next child was Jacob, and he came in, he got his first haircut. So like they've all gotten their first haircuts. Emma is such a, like, I trim her hair myself because she's just always like tender-headed and just doesn't want anybody touching her hair, and she's like screams, and I'm like, I'm just combing your hair. So I've done her little trims for her, but now Adrian is here. Adrian is the baby, the 19-month-old, and he's seen Miss Megan, I think, his very first haircut, and he had like a long like shag, and he went all the way bald. So he had a little fade that he got, and then Ralph got him the second time. So he's actually up for his next haircut. So.
And that's where we spoke a little bit about even the podcast thing, because you had been playing around with maybe doing a podcast a little while, which you still should.
Yeah. It's like, it's always been so my dream was to be a journalist. Like I wanted to go to NYU, like things changed obviously, so I didn't do it, but think that just a journalist or just kind of being a source of information for people, I don't know, was always something that I really liked. I love writing. I love speaking. I talked, I was always a chatterbox. I used to move my seat around all the time at school because I wouldn't stop talking.
Same. Yeah.
So, but I think that it kind of got put on a back burner when I had my kids, and I just kind of played around with it when my brother got into the radio field, because he was like, let's start a podcast together. I'll produce your show. You do the show. And I was like, well, let's think about it. And he was like, well, write down ideas and let's just get it going.
Yep.
And then I just stopped. So it's like I never continued or pursued it. But I kind of wanted to touch on on the basis of parenthood, and more so the infertility side of it, just because it was a struggle for me for years. And so that's what we talked with Ralph, and I was like, yeah, I mean, our story is a little crazy because we had one child for a long time and that was it. And then we thought that was going to be it. And then bam, 4 more babies came and we were like, whoa, how did we get here? So, that's kind of where we started our conversation.
Yeah.
Ralph
So
and
let's push back a little bit.
Yeah.
You've been married to your husband how long now?
So it'll be 19 years in August.
You guys have been together for a good while.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
And little side note, that's kind of the beautiful thing about the podcast is we're getting to meet the folks that come in here. And just like you and I were sharing the conversation, like these stories in the 15 minutes that we were together, it was so impactful to hear your story, and just kind of there's a nice little twist in there as well. And I can't wait to jump into that on the podcast. But you guys have been married almost 20 years now.
Yep, we're going on 19 in August. High school sweethearts. I was a junior, he was a senior. We're dating for a couple of years and we got married, and so it doesn't feel like 20 years. I feel like we just got married yesterday, but I think that's the fun part about marriage is you go through all the obstacles together and you grow together. And I was just grateful that we grew up together and not apart, because there's a lot of couples in high school that don't make it because you guys do go in different directions. So, I mean, it's been a good ride.
Did you guys grow up here in Kenosha?
No, I'm actually originally from Illinois. So we went to high school at Warren and Gurnee. So we met in high school there. I was born and raised, and then we decided to move out here to kind of get a different lifestyle. I mean, it is a lifestyle change because Waukegan, congested. There's so many people.
Yeah, that's where she's from.
It is it. Yeah. And I feel like the pace of life is even slower here, and it's a little more country, tranquil, as opposed to just going over the border 5 minutes.
In the best way.
Yes,
in the best
it's
way.
the best way. I love it. I would
No
not
shade.
go back to. I don't think I could go back to Illinois. I love Wisconsin, and I think that's what we were looking for. Is just a little bit of a change of pace, and we're like, well, it's just over the border. It's not like it's so far. So, but then when we moved here, it felt like we were in a whole different world. It was so different, and we live in Pleasant Prairie, so it's even quieter over there, and it was what we needed. I think.
What school do your kids go to?
So they're at St. Joe's. Okay. Originally, my oldest son did go through Pleasant Prairie, then Mahone, and then he started high school at St. Joe's. But my last 3 all started at St. Joe's, first grade, first through pre-K through first grade now. So they all started out at St. Joe's in Kenosha. Love it. It's just such a small, quaint school, and it's amazing. I think that the decision, because we originally had my second son at Pleasant Prairie, and he was very, he had a lot of separation anxiety, and the bigger school setting, I think, brought on more anxiety.
Made
to
it
him.
worse.
Yeah. So then we're like, what do we do? How do we fix this for him? And then we're like, well, let's go the private school route. There's smaller classrooms, less students, and then it just had worked out, and he just complete 360. So he did it really well. And I was like, well, just keep all of them together, because I don't want to have 3 different schools, to go to. So
She's looking at me because we're playing around with that right now. It's just it would have been 3 different schools, but I think we've consolidated a little bit more and made a decision, right? Yeah. You make a decision that you hope is going to be the right one.
Exactly.
As parents, you're just like, I hope I don't ruin my kid. Right? But
you will know. They're your child. You will know when they're happy. You'll know when they struggle, and it's okay to start over again. With my son that was in pre-K, he only did pre-K there. Actually kindergarten too, but it was during COVID, so they did online learning. Yeah, so he was at home half of the time. So I think that when I saw his struggle, and then I was like, okay, he has friends here. I get it. I know that that's going to be a hard part for him to kind of change, but he thrived so much at St. Joe's that I was like, oh my gosh, I should have never questioned it. Like,
That's
I think
great.
you just know, you know what your kids need. So
For sure.
yeah.
Someone told me that once too, like, because I was just venting maybe a little bit about hopefully I'm making the right decision. Hopefully this is right, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, the fact that you care so much is already the beginning of success, right? Like if you didn't care, then it would be worse. So that is
100%. I agree.
always good. So in early marriage, early life, how did you guys find out, or how did that maybe kids was going to be a little bit different?
So we had our first child, no issues, like textbook, like everything went so well with my first pregnancy. Everything was normal, as normal as it could be, you know. So once he was a little older, we were like, well, let's plan for a sibling, and he would ask us for a sibling. So we're like, okay, it's time. And he was like 2 years old already. So we went and we were like, just a checkup to make sure we're okay. We wanted to make sure that we're healthy, you know. And so we did. And the doctor was like, you're fine, you're good. Everything looks normal in your blood work. You're good to go. So we were like, okay. So it was about a year in, and we were trying to conceive and nothing was happening. And we're like, well, they told us everything was okay. Like, what's going on? And so I went back, and the doctor was like, listen, I don't know what changed from the last appointment to now, but I think you should see a fertility specialist. It's been over a year, and by your age, it's like 24 at that time. By your age, you shouldn't have issues like this, you know? So they sent us to a fertility specialist, and the fertility specialist was like, let's work work up on everything. And come to find out, he was like, well, you are actually infertile. Like, you are not going to have a baby unless you do this in vitro, IUI, whatever. But he was like, you're not good. Your hormone levels are completely out of whack. And I was like, well, seemed like everything was fine just a year ago. And he was like, well, I don't know. He was like, I'm not sure what happened between then and now, but it doesn't look like it's going to work for you guys. Like, so then my husband and I were like, okay, so what do we do now? We knew that infertility treatments in general were so expensive. And we were like, do we continue this? Like, do we leave it alone? How do we do this? And then he actually talked to his HR department when he was working at the company he was working at. And lo and behold, they covered all infertility treatments.
Did
100%.
they really?
100%. We were like, okay, then let's just do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
That's unheard of, though. That's so. Yeah.
And he worked for an HR company, so I think they had such great benefits because they provided those benefits. Yeah. So he was like, well, we're covered 100% for any treatments that we want to try. And I'm like, okay, let's go for it. You know.
Can we pause for a quick second? During that time, was there anything that you remember? Could something have changed during that year? Like, was there any kind of like traumatic experience or anything like that?
Not like traumatic, no. Like, I didn't even, so like, honestly, I think back on it and I'm like, what would have changed? Like, what could have happened? The only thing that I remember was going to the ER for gallbladder stones. Like, I had a gallbladder surgery. Like, that was traumatic for me, but there was nothing that it correlated with my infertility or my fertility. You know, I was like, I thought about it too, and I'm like, what's happening? Like, I don't know what it is. So with all of the blood work and all that, it came back that I had PCOS. And then I started to research on PCOS. At that time, PCOS wasn't talked about very much. Nobody knew about it, or if they knew about it, they, I guess, maybe didn't have as much information. I don't know. It was weird. It was like back in 2008, 9 maybe.
Can you elaborate a little bit on PCOS? I guess I don't know what it is.
So PCOS is like a hormonal imbalance. It also causes a lot of cysts on your ovaries. So instead of when you're supposed to, release your egg, it stays in your ovary and it becomes a cyst. I wasn't actually, now that you think about it, now making me think, I did have one cyst one time on my ovary, and I had to get surgery, and it was before we even started trying to have any kids. And I remember the doctor went in, and I was under. And when I woke up, he was like, we didn't do anything. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, your ovary ended up becoming like embedded. So if I would have operated, I would have had to remove your entire fallopian tube.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, I don't want to mess up your chances of having any children, so I didn't want to mess with it. He was like, I left it alone. I'll give you medicine. And that's the end of it. And then my son came along and it was normal. Like I was like, oh, so it's nothing. You know, they didn't diagnose me at that time with PCOS, but that's the one thing that now I think about. And I'm like, well, that was probably the beginning of it. Like my oldest son was probably just like wow, it happened, you know, without any issues. But then I think maybe after having him and with the hormonal changes, I think it just completely like spiraled out of control after that. So we did extensive blood work. PCOS is, again, like a very common now because I think more women are being diagnosed with it nowadays.
Yeah.
But from my research then, I found out that it's actually like a hereditary passed down from the paternal side, which is crazy. Like I was like, my grandmother on my dad's side had 9 kids. Like it was like, you know, so I'm like, I think he remembers my grandma talking about her having issues with like miscarriages when she was young and it was, you know, in her age, when she was having children. So I'm like, I wonder if back then it wasn't even known what it was, and maybe the continuous miscarriages were part of it too. Like I don't know when the actual research started for PCOS, but it's pretty much that, like a hormonal imbalance, you know, ovarian cysts, you know, lots of issues with like your cycles and being super irregular. Like some people don't get an actual cycle for a long time and some people get like really long ones. So I think women are affected in different ways. But I think the number one issue is infertility. Like that's, everybody deals with that eventually with PCOS. So, you know, and I started to like read up on it. I thought about maybe advocating. Like I know that I used to watch Teen Mom as like a kid, and one of the teen moms has PCOS, and she's super big. I don't know if you guys know Macy, like the redhead girl. She's always advocating, and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Like somebody on TV is finally talking about it and advocating. So I think she also brought some awareness, and it sparked a little bit in me. Like maybe that's when I thought, like, what if I do a podcast? Like I'll talk about stuff that I've been through or that I know. So yeah, you know, the infertility doctor finally like gave me a diagnosis after a while of being treated or, you know, just being put on medications and put on all these hormones, you know. I was like, and obviously the route for infertility, or I'm sorry, IUIs and in vitro is very, I guess you could say, debilitating. Lots of crying, lots of frustration, lots of like I was deathly afraid of needles, and I was injecting myself. Like I was like, how did we get here? Like I was so scared, you know. And I was like, the first time that I had to start like the process to do the IUI, I sat there and I was like frozen, and I was like, I can't do this. My husband's like, I'll help you. Like it's okay, you know. But I can't imagine like how many women go through that, and it's a little sad that it's not as talked about. Like I feel like infertility, it's such a like maybe a taboo, or I don't know. A lot of women probably feel like they are not enough because they're infertile.
Makes him a little less of a woman.
Yeah, and I remember thinking that like when I was trying to conceive after my first son, he would cry. Like once he got older and he realized what a sibling was and that he wasn't getting a sibling, he would cry. And we'd be at the grocery store and he'd be like watching like siblings play, and he'd look at me and he's like, I just want a brother or a sister so I can play. Man. And it would like break my heart because I was like, how do I explain that to him? You know, he's so little, he doesn't know what it is. And then, so, you know,
does he still feel that way?
No, he's like, why did you give me so many siblings now? He's like, I wanted one.
I wanted one and done.
Yeah. No, and he's
careful what you wish for.
Yeah, exactly. No, and I feel like he's a good big brother, but he grew up. He was 7 years, like the only child for 7 years, and I think knowing that he was the only one for 7 years, it made him very independent. Like he was very like played on his own. Like we would play with him, but we were adults. Like he was very mature for his age because he was only around children or adults. I should say. And then when his siblings came, he was like, "What do I do with them?" Like, they don't play how I play.
Primitive
exactly.
animals.
And now even he's like, I don't think I want kids. And I'm like, why? He's like, because your kids are crazy. So I'm like, that is so funny. He begged for siblings, and now he's like, I don't think I want kids.
Wait, so going back, even through the struggles and everything that you were feeling, and that's because the company was paying it. You imagine the financial burden? That's the one thing I've heard about IVF. Is the financial burden is incredible.
It is. We wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for his job having such great benefits. Like, I feel like if we would have had to pay out of pocket, it would have just been we're not doing it.
Yeah.
You know, we were lucky that we were able to have that benefit, which a lot of people don't, unfortunately. And then it kind of comes down to, I don't know, like, you know, and I always thought, like, if I can't have another kid, maybe I'll adopt, you know, but that's even expensive. Like, you know, it's like, it's never easy. Like, I feel like it's always, you're already getting the diagnosis, which is super hard. Like, infertility, when you hear that, you're just like, well, you know, how, why, you know, it's everything just comes to mind. And then on top of that, like, everything is so expensive to like fix the issue. And if that doesn't work, it's like, that's all the money that you just spent on like a 50-50 chance, you know? And it's like, then you want to go through the route, and you see that there are so many children that need, you know, a parent that don't have a parent. Like, adoption is amazing, and that's expensive too. And insurance will never cover that. Like, there's nothing that will cover that, you know? And it's like, we just thought about so many scenarios, and we were like, well, you know, at the end of the day, like, we have one, and we were kind of settling on the idea that it was just going to be one already.
You count your blessings.
Yeah, exactly.
And
and then he started getting super emotional about it. And then I was like, then I felt guilty, and I'm like, so if I settle and I don't try, then it's like, I'm hurting him too. Like, he wants a sibling, and he would cry. And I was like, so then that's when we decided, we're like, let's do it. It doesn't hurt. We're getting this covered. Let's try. So we went to a couple appointments. The doctor was like, we'll try IUI first, which is intrauterine insemination, which is not as invasive as in vitro.
Yeah.
So we tried, and that's when all the hormone injections started, because they have to prepare your body for it. It's almost the exact same thing as in vitro, but it's not invasive to the point where you're like, you know, how the in vitro process goes. So I went in, and we actually had 4 failed attempts for IUI, and every time it was harder and harder, because it's like, you go in with the hope that it's going to work, and then you come back a month later and it didn't work, and you're like, it's just a waiting game. And then it started to get really like, it take a toll on my mental, you know, because I was like, at this point, I kind of felt like it was a job. Like, I felt like it was just not something that I was enjoying anymore. But I also felt like if I gave up, then I was giving up on my son. I was like, you know, so it was like, I was really torn at that time. And I was like, what do I do? And the doctor was like, you know what, you've done IUI 4 times and they've all failed. Like, at this point, let's just go for in vitro. And then we were like, okay, like, if we go for this, we know that there's not, like, we only had so many embryos that we were going to be able to try.
Can I ask, was your husband in the same boat? Like, was he as let's roll with this as you?
He was very like supportive. He was like, I'll support you as far as you can handle. Like, I don't want you to put your body through more than you have to.
Oh, that's
I don't want you to like overdo it. Like, I don't want to overexhaust you. Like, he was super supportive, and I think he knew also, like, we have one, and we're happy that we have at least one. Like, he had that same mentality, and we were like, so let's just go for it. The doctor sat us down and was like, okay, so we should pick how many embryos you guys want to transfer in the first go around. He was like, hopefully it'll take, and I looked at my husband, and I'm like, I never thought about that. Like, how many do we do? Like, I don't know, you know. He was like, well, let's just do one. And I was like, yeah, let's just do one. Like, I was scared, you know.
Did you get a count? I've heard that
we had 16. So we had 16 that were,
which is a good count.
It is. It was a good count. And we were like, let's just do one right now. And the doctor was like, listen, you've already put your body through so much with IUI. He was like, all the hormones, everything you have been doing, it is going to affect you somehow if you keep trying like over and over and over again. He was like, let's do 2. I suggest you do 2. He was like, that gives you a chance of 1 making it. So he was like, you have 2. If 2 make it, good. If not, then at least we have hopefully 1 that makes it. So we're like, oh gosh, we're like, okay, well, let's think about it. And I couldn't give him a decision at that time because I was like scared out of my mind. I was like, what if we get twins? And I wasn't ready to have twins. Like I was just so scared. So I was like, I can't handle 2 at a time, I don't think. So my husband and I went home and we just thought about it. We talked and stuff, and we were like, okay, let's just do 2, and then we'll hopefully at least 1 will take. So that's the mentality we went. So we continued the process. We did all the hormone injections. We did everything we needed to do. And it was the morning of my retrieval. So I was like, let's go and get, I'm sorry, it was the morning, not my retrieval, of when we were going to the implantation. So I was like, I was going to go by myself because my husband had to work, and I was like, I'll just go. It's fine. My mom was going to meet me at the hospital, and I was on my way up 41 down 41 going to Highland Park. And I was like, it was a rainy day too. And I remember it was just like gloomy and rainy. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so bad. I can't see. Like, it was just so bad. I just felt like the morning was off, like when I started driving. And I was like, okay, let's just get there. And I'm just nervous. That was just what I thought. So I get to the light where I'm supposed to turn onto the hospital entrance. And as I'm going, I get into a car accident, like 2 blocks from the hospital. And it was like, my front was like completely totaled. It was like a side, so it was bad. It was like, and I just sat there, like it was like a movie. Like it kind of just froze, and I was like, what is happening? I just felt like everything just flashed before me. Like I was like, I'm on my way to the hospital. I'm supposed to have my, my in vitro process done. Like it was just so much going on. I was like, I'm in an accident. My husband's not here. My mom's waiting for me at the hospital. It was a lot, Yeah. So I was like, I don't know. And I sat there, and I'm very spiritual. So I like sat there for a moment. I just took a deep breath, and like I remember just crying, and I was like, God, if this is your sign, I don't want to do this. Like, I will not do this right now. So I just sat there, and I called my husband, and he's like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm in an accident and I don't know what's happening. And he's like, okay, calm down. I'll meet you there. And I was like, I'm canceling my appointment. And he was like, whatever you need to do. He's like, you just got into a car accident. Like, don't even think about that right now. And I took it upon myself, like after everything kind of settled, I called the office, and I'm like, I was just in an accident and I need to cancel my appointment. I was like, I'm not going to make it. I was like, I was 2 blocks from the hospital, and I was like, I'm not going to make it. And the lady was like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Like, give us a call. We completely understand. We'll figure things out afterwards. I never called them back. I never called them back. I just felt like it was just not for me. Like, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was like divine intervention for me. I don't know what it was, but I just felt like at that moment, that was not what I should have been doing. It was just not for me. And I said, you know what? Maybe this is my sign. Like, you have your son. He's healthy. He's here. Yeah. That's more than enough. Like, you're lucky to be alive right now. Mm-hmm. This is like, stop asking for more. Like, that's how I felt. You know what I mean? And I was like, I'm not going to do this. I'll just leave it alone. Yeah. And so I did. I never called them back. And they probably are like, what happened? Like, we had everything ready for her. I just couldn't. I just didn't want to continue it.
Well, I'm sure they have that happen quite a bit where people are like gung-ho, and then as the time approaches, they get more and more nervous, and they, people lose hope and everything too. Yeah,
I think so. And it is such, to me, I don't know. Like, I see women who are like, and I feel bad because I was like, I had the opportunity to do it, and I just like completely shut it off. And then I thought, like, there's so many women who wish they had that opportunity, but I just didn't feel right doing it. Like, I just felt, to me, that was my sign. Like,
there wasn't a piece about continue. So you didn't go through the IVF process. No.
Okay. I stopped at the IUIs. That, like, I had 4 IUIs done. None of them took. So when I was going for the in vitro, that's when the whole accident happened, and then I just completely was like, nope, I'm not doing it. Yeah. I'm just happy with where I'm at right now. Like, it was kind of a moment like in between the craziness, the sadness of the accident. It was also a moment of clarity, like of peace for me, because I was like, okay, I'm okay. Like, I'm here. I was so glad my son wasn't with me, obviously, but I was like, I am blessed with what I have, and I'm here, and I survived this accident, and I should just be happy. Like, and then it kind of gave me a little bit of peace, and I was like, I'm okay. Like, we'll figure things out with him. I was like, we got him a puppy. We'll
get you a dog.
Yeah, we were
fine.
We were hoping that would change.
Yeah.
But he did. And that puppy just passed away a couple
Oh.
weeks ago.
Oh, no.
Actually, at the beginning of June. And and he lasted 15 years.
I mean, that's a good life for a puppy.
Yeah. And that was his buddy. So, I mean, and we were like, he's happy. Like, we're happy if he's happy.
Yeah.
And he didn't ask anymore. And it was crazy because it was the switch that completely shut off with.
Sure.
We didn't explain to him. We didn't tell him what had happened. We gave him zero details because he didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
But like, it was crazy because as soon as he got and he named him Nemo. As soon as he got Nemo, it was like that was what he needed. Like that fulfilled him, and he was fine. He never asked for siblings like he used to. You know, he didn't cry about it anymore. So I was like, oh, we're okay. Like we're gonna be one and done, and we have a puppy, and it was a perfect life for us. You know, so.
But also that kind of stress on the kiddo, like it's probably a good plan that you guys didn't say, all right, we're going to be trying. And then the kiddo is like waiting and waiting and excited. And then it doesn't happen. Yeah. And then you get in a car accident and you're like, you're not going to.
Yeah, exactly. Because they won't even know the reason behind it. Like, why? What do you mean? Like, you're here. Why can't you try? You know?
Exactly.
And I just never even, like, to this day, he doesn't really know that there was any issues. Like, at 18, I still haven't talked to him about the journey.
Here's the podcast. Here's a great opportunity.
Yes, you're going to hear it on live. But yeah, no, he was very happy with his puppy. We were finally like okay with it. We were like, well, we'll just roll with the punches, you know. And then that's when the story started. When I kind of told Ralph, it was a year down the line now. It was about June or so, and my sister-in-law was pregnant, and we were at her baby shower. And Ivan, my oldest Ivan, comes about. Well, actually, let me backtrack a little bit. He asked me how babies were born, and I was like, I'm not going to tell him that, you know. So I was just like, oh, they come from a watermelon seed. That's what I told him. I was like, some mommies will just accidentally swallow a watermelon seed, and then they have a baby. And he's like, oh, okay. He just ran away, like whatever, you know. And
it makes total sense.
Yeah,
of course.
I was like, it's the black watermelon seeds. You know how some of them do and some of them don't have it? And he was just like, yeah. He was like, well, sometimes a mommy will accidentally swallow one and she gets pregnant. And he was just like, so like, oh, cool, you know, whatever, full story, mom. So he walked away, and I think he was already like, I don't know, a little bit past 2 at that time, maybe 3 probably. So then, so yeah, a year later then, we were at my sister-in-law's baby shower, and she had a really cute, like, fruit arrangement, and it was a baby carriage, and the watermelon was the carriage. And so it was like a bunch of fruits and stuff in there, and he was like so amazed by it, and he's like, this is so cool, you know? And I was like, yeah, it is. So then the party kept going. He came back a couple hours later, and he's like, Mom, I want some fruit. And I'm like, okay, fine. I'm serving him fruit. I sat him down and gave him his plate of fruit, and then he was done, and he went back to play. And then I think maybe the following night, he came up to us at nighttime, and we would say prayer at nighttime before bed. And he was like, Mom, he was like, before we pray, I have something for you. And I was like, what? You know, and I didn't think anything of it because I just, whatever, you know, I just like, what do you have? So he brought out a black watermelon seed that he had saved from the fruit that I had served him at the party. So I was like, oh, and I like, my eyes were like wide open. My husband just looks at me like, what are you going to do? And I was like, what's that for? And he was like, this is so that you can eat it and then you can have a baby. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I thought I didn't think he remembered. It was almost a year later. So I was like, okay, buddy. I was like, well, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. It might not work, you know? And I was like, what do I do? So I was like, okay. So I like popped it in my mouth. He was like, open your mouth. I want to make sure you swallowed it. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was like, okay, I will. So I showed him, and I was like, see, it's all gone. I was like, but this doesn't mean it'll happen. It's a maybe, you know? I was just preparing him so that he didn't expect anything of it. And then he looked at me and he's like, okay, but actually, let me rewind a little bit. So before I popped it in my mouth, he was like, I'm going to say a real quick prayer. So he held my hand and my husband's hand, and he was like, please, God, just let this be the baby that I really want. And I thought by this time he was over it. You know, he had his puppy. He was fine. It just never came up again. And then I, you know, put the watermelon seed in. He was like, let me check. And I'm like, okay, it's gone. And then we left it alone. And I looked at my husband. I'm like, oh my gosh. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, what if it doesn't, you know, I was just thinking of all the what ifs. And my husband was like, he'll forget about it in a month. It's fine. And I'm like, okay, fine. So we kept moving along. And then that was like, I want to say I don't know if it was like June something, end of June sometime, like in the 24th or something. And August 24th, I find out I was pregnant. And when I went to the doctor, I was like 6 or 7 weeks pregnant already. So it was like almost to the T from when I took the watermelon seed to the time that the time was almost exact. Oh. And I like think about it, and everyone knows my second son is our little watermelon seed. Like everyone calls him because they know the story. And I'm like, yeah, that's our little watermelon seed. So yeah, like, I don't know. And that was completely like out of nowhere, unexpected, like no fertility treatments, nothing. Like it just happened. Like we're like, that's our little miracle because we didn't expect it. We weren't looking for it. And I think it happened when it was supposed to happen because we were no longer like stressed about it. And it was the most beautiful surprise. Like, I think we finally let ourselves be surprised instead of just anticipating and expecting it. Like, I was like, all this journey has been so worth it. Like, even though we didn't get the baby when we were originally planning it, like this whole journey to get here made it so worth it because then we were finally like, oh my gosh, like it happened. Like we weren't expecting it anymore, And I remember when I found out, I called my husband at work and he was in a meeting and I'm like, hey, do you have time to talk? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I'm in a meeting, but what's up? And I'm like, well, I think you should go to a different meeting room. I was like, because I got something to tell you. And he's like, well, what's going on? He was so worried. It never crossed his mind. He didn't think anything of it. I was like, well, I went for a physical. I was like, and we're pregnant. And he's like, what? And then he's like dead silent. And I was like, are you there? Are you okay? He was like, I'm trying not to be so excited. Everyone's in a meeting right now. So I was like, oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was just such an experience that like all the heartache, all the stress, everything that we went through, it really made it worth it. Like at the end of the journey, like, and we were okay after that. We're like, if this is it, like this is it, we're good, So we were happy with, I guess, our journey. It was hard, but we were just like, this is how it was meant to be. Like we're now like understood the reason behind a lot of the things that we went through. And I was like, now at this point, I think what I was being taught was patience in my entire journey. Like I feel now that like faith and patience were the first two things that came to mind. I was like, my son's faith, because he said his little prayer right before I took his watermelon seed. Like it taught me like sometimes the faith of children is a lot bigger than our own, or like their beliefs and like just their heart, like the innocence and how much they show us, as adults and them being children, and then just being patient. Like it didn't happen when I was forcing it to happen. It wasn't happening when I wanted it to happen. It just happened when it was supposed to happen. So.
That's such a good reminder that sometimes in tough times, those two things are the first to go, right? Exactly. Like faith and patience. Yeah. Regardless of your faith journey, right? Like the idea that you can get so bogged down in your own emotion and your own feeling, like it's just not in the cards for me, or whatever you would say. Like the universe is out to get me. Yeah. Or why is God not allowing this to happen? And then, so faith and patience, because we want things on our time frame, and we don't necessarily wait very well.
Oh, we shouldn't always get what we want in that time either. Because like I have always wanted to be a mom, and it just never happened for me. Yeah. And at one point when I was married, my ex-husband said that he might have fertility issues. Okay. And so we went, because like I've always been regular and whatever. So we take him to the doctor, and the doctor even says like if it's a problem with the guy, it's easy fix. Okay. It's an easy fix. But he never followed through with anything, and I'm kind of glad now because of lots of different reasons. Yeah. Yeah. So, but I've just started seeing someone, and I told them like, I don't have children, but it's not because I didn't want children. It just never happened. Yeah. But I'm also not going to drive myself crazy trying to have a baby. Yeah. And I've always thought of fostering as an option when I get an actual space, because I have a 1-bedroom apartment right now. But like, it's scary. It's funny because like wanted it so bad, and it was like issues within our marriage that was part of it, but there were other things. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad that I did not, because it would have been a completely different it probably wouldn't have been very, let's just say it would be very stressful.
Yeah.
And
I
so
totally get that. No,
yeah.
and I get it. And like sometimes we don't know why. And I tell my kids, like I always use my oldest especially. I said sometimes they're not rejections, they're redirections. Like it might not be for us at that moment, and it'll come to us at a different time. And like this kind of just solidified that for me. Like I just now carry myself more like nonchalantly, I guess you could say. Like I'm like, if it happens, if it doesn't, it's okay. Like we'll figure something out. We'll just keep going. We'll keep moving. And like you said, like there's so many ways now, so many ways to become a mom, and so many ways. And then being a mom, it doesn't always. It's not the same for everyone. Like and it's okay. You know, like every one of us has a different story, a different journey, and that's the beautiful thing about parenthood. Like everyone has something different in their story, in their journey to get there, or while during parenthood. Like it's okay to not go by the book. It's okay not to be what the standard
or be on the timeline that you're supposed everyone expects you to be on.
Right.
Because it is hard when you're like, you just get married, or even before you get married, when you get married, when you get married, when you get married.
It's always an expectation.
Or when you're having babies, when you have babies. When you have a baby, I want to be a grandma. Well, it's like, okay, that's nice for you.
Yeah.
Go find someone else.
Exactly. And that's good that you're able to tell people that. Like there's like, and I don't know about you, Ralph, but like in our culture, like I'm Mexican. So that's always a question. Like somebody brings a girlfriend or a boyfriend to the party, like, when's the wedding? And we're like, I just started dating this person. Like, hold on a little bit. I
don't even know their last name.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I think for us, or for me, in what I've experienced, it's like not the anticipation, the expectation that they set for you, and it's not your expectation; it's somebody else's expectation. And I'm like, and that's why I try to push it on my kids. Like more so my oldest, because he is older now, he understands things a little more. But I always tell him, like, don't worry about the girlfriends. Like, that'll come when it's ready. Like, don't push relationships. Like, if it's not happening, don't worry about it. Like, somebody else will come in the picture, and you won't even realize it, that person is sweeping you off your feet, or vice versa. It's like, just let things flow. Like, just don't be. I think that's what I've learned in this whole journey. Like, don't expect so much, but appreciate what comes to you when it comes to you.
Well, and that's the thing, we're all chasing that finish line and we're not enjoying the journey there. And I know, like, for me, I got married very quickly after getting together with my ex-husband, and there were a lot of things that now, having experienced all those things, I'm like, oh, I can say no to that. And I know that everyone is saying it out of like happiness for you, like, oh, when are you going to get married, when are you going to have kids? Like, they want you to be happy and enjoy this. But I think they don't realize that there's a feeling of pressure to that. And it is hard because like you said, people don't want to talk about infertility issues, and no one wants to talk about PCOS or endometriosis, and women's bodies are still being discovered. So it's like there's so many things that they don't even know how it works or why it works that way.
Exactly.
And again, more pressure on someone.
I agree 100%. Like, sometimes the diagnosis comes with a little bit of like a guilt too, because you're like, well, what's wrong with my body? Like it's like the pressure of just like you said, figuring out what's wrong, and then that's becomes a chore, or it's not it's not, how do you say it? Like, it's no longer about your health and well-being. It's more so like meeting somebody else's expectations, or, like you said, the timeline. Like, now it's not like this is making me feel bad already as it is. There's symptoms, there's things that come with it, but then on top of that, it's like being worried about, oh, what are they going to say because I don't have this, or what am I going to say because I can't, what are they going to say because I can't have a baby, or it is just so much that comes into it, and it's frustrating because it is truly like, if you allow it, it can really mess with your mental health. It does. And it's like, and then you're dealing with the PCOS, and then like anxiety or depression and things. It all kind of comes together.
Don't have a supportive partner like you did, or family,
right?
Because some people act ignorant about things, or people get impatient, or they feel like the only thing you're doing is worrying about having a baby and it's not fun anymore. And they're not, you know, now they're not the center of your world.
Yeah.
This event is.
Yeah.
And like you said before, you're like, you're not even having fun with it anymore. Yeah. And I know a lot of people who have struggled with that, where it's like having intercourse is a chore because they have to do it right when this happens.
It's like on a timed schedule now. Like there's nothing like intimate anymore. Like it's not what it should be, you know, like, and I remember like my friends, I was one of the first to have kids, like my very first child. So I was one of the first of my friends to have kids. So then a lot of them just decided to have kids later. They were like in late 20s, early 30s when they started having kids. And I was almost done at that time having kids. But I just remember like they could sneeze and they were pregnant. And I remember them showing that off. And it was like, good, I'm glad, you know, but there's people who do go through a struggle to get to where you're at. And it's easy for you, but there's also the insensitivity, or is it insensitivity? I guess I don't know if that's even a word. Like people being insensitive to the fact that there's people who struggle and who can't and who won't. You know, possibly have kids. And it's like, oh, I can get pregnant immediately. And like now, because my last 4 did come very fast, like it was back to back to back. And I was like, that was a shock to me. And I try to be as sensitive to people as possible. Like I will never be like, yeah, it's easy. Like I know, because it wasn't. And I've been on both sides of the journey. So like I also like to correct people when they're joking about like the whole April Fools, like people pretending like they're pregnant. I get very offended by that. Like I'm like, you don't understand the people, the walks of life that people have been through and what they've gone through. Like that's not okay either. Like so, and I like to advocate for women who like are struggling, and it's like you said, be the support that they might not have outside of, you know, in their circle, outside of their, you know, anywhere. Like, I think that it's so important for women to help each other in those instances, because I feel like infertility, like you said, not talked about. It's not as often, I should say. It is talked about, but it's not, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just taboo. Like, I don't know. I don't know why, the reason behind.
Well, you're scared you're going to hurt someone's feelings or you're going to make them feel bad. So you don't want to talk about it. But really, if you're trying to talk to someone about it, like if you're the one explaining it, they should give you the space to explain it versus, have you done this? Have you done that? Because everybody always has like, oh, just, you know, sit upside down afterwards or whatever.
Try the, everything.
Well, and then it's also like, I know I have like said no to baby showers because I wasn't in the mental mindset to do it. And
I get it. No, it is hard because you hear you see people's pregnancy announcements. Like when during the time that I had my first son, like it wasn't a big thing, but like afterwards it started to become like gender reveals. All that started to come out, and I'd be like, I felt happy, but I also felt the sadness every single time I saw an announcement or a gender reveal. And I was like I didn't know if I should be guilty for feeling that way. And that's another thing, like I would struggle with like feeling happy for people, but also being sad for myself.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and it was a big mind, like it is a big toll.
Such a juxtaposition of emotions, right? Like, yeah, you're excited for this person and that their life is changing, but then you look at yours, and you're like, well, why isn't that happening? We went through that a little bit with my my sister. She has always wanted kiddos, and I've always seen, like, we grew up in church, and we've you know, she's always been the one with directing the kids classes or directing the youth classes, and it just was not in the cards. It seems like it's still not in the cards for her. She's recently gone through more of the fostering, and I think moving into the adoption phase of that now, and it's such a beautiful thing to see because like you said, motherhood doesn't look one way. It's not one size fits all. There are women, and I remember early on when Heather started here, and we were kind of getting to know each other, and I like to think that I have a sensibility to people's emotions and kind of what they're feeling and what they're going through. And it was Mother's Day. It was a few years back, and I sent her a text, and in that text it was basically like my big brother or little brother side coming out, because I see it with my sister, and just saying like, you're a mother without a child, and the fact that you bring those motherly instincts to what we do here at Little Lion Cuts, like that's irreplaceable. Yeah. I would much rather have a Heather who loves children than someone with 10 kids who can't stand kids. Exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like me, like with 3 kids, and I can't stand kids. No, I'm kidding.
No, and it's 100% true.
But it's not one size fits all. Yeah. And it's beautiful to see a journey as it goes through. And I like that you brought that up, the insensitivity side of things. I do have a lot of friends who have either gone through miscarriages, maybe they have 1 or 2 kiddos right now, but you don't see the heartaches that have happened behind the scenes with the 5, 6, 7 miscarriages. 100%. I had someone on social media not long ago, a friend that I've known for a while, and they posted it was like a fad for a while. Maybe that's a wrong word to say, but it's they're like cartoon pictures of the family, but all the faces, they don't have faces. So you could tell it's like husband, wife, and the kiddos. But they posted a picture, and it was them, and I believe they have 2 daughters, but there was 3 other kiddos in the picture. And it was like, you guys don't see all the heartache that has happened. Yeah. And so it's a good thing to really be sensitive at the same time, not necessarily thinking that, because I can see where people might say, well, it's not my job to be sensitive to other people, but it is. That's what this human relationship is all about.
Well, and that's a hard line to go around, because you don't want to exclude someone who might be struggling from baby stuff, like my baby shower or the gender reveal, but at the same time, invite them, but be supportive if they say, no, thanks, not for me. Yeah. And then, like, we've all known someone who's had a miscarriage, and it's complicated. And I got a lot of friends who have different opinions on it, and it's kind of like, but their idea of that family, of that child, it's painful, because they had this, as soon as you find out you're pregnant, you have all these thoughts in your head of what the kid's going to be like.
No, 100%. I think you envision something immediately, like even in the cases where you weren't expecting it and maybe didn't want it at that time. Sure. Like, I think, as they say, as soon as a mom finds out she's pregnant, she becomes a mom instantly. Like, it's always going to be that way. Like, the dad finds out he's a dad, and he doesn't realize it until the baby's physically
It
here.
really did feel that way. Yeah.
And my husband says the same thing, and he's like, I knew you were pregnant. Like, I knew you had a baby inside of you,
but it was just not real.
Yeah. And I think when you find out you're pregnant, like you said, you envision this child and who they're going to be. Yeah. And then, unfortunately, it doesn't happen, or whatever happens, it does. And I think it's always a lot more stressful, because then the guilt comes in, like, what did I do wrong? How did I, what could I have done to prevent this? And it's not, there's nothing,
that's not even to mention the moms, parents who have special need kids. Yeah.
100%.
And then that also falls into the guilt and shame part of like, well, why couldn't I do this or have this? And that's a huge road.
Yeah. It is hard. I think everything comes, we are dealt the cards that we're meant to have in life. Like, I'm very, like, I always believe, like, I'm not given more than I can handle. I know that I can handle everything that I'm given. And I think that, like, I am a mother to these children because I was meant to be their mother. Like, my kids, more so developmental delays in my last 3. Yeah. And it's really hard. Like, that's a whole different topic, but it's just like you envision how things are. And then when you get to the crossroad and you're like, oh man, like, I thought this was going to be easier. Or I thought this was going to happen this way. Like, my guilty I guess what I'm guilty of is that I compare a lot. Like I compare my older sons with my younger kids, and I'm like, you can't do that. Like not every child's the same, and I've learned that as we've gone along. But yeah, like you said, like there's so many mothers who also are grieving, like the normal, whatever normal is, childhood for their child, and it is hard. It is really hard. It's so many things as a parent, as a caregiver, whatever it is. Like it's so many things, and I'm like, you guys see so many walks of life here, like the children that you see, and like you have become, I'm sure, a safety for a lot of people. Like I have a nephew who only wants to go to one barber or hair, barber, because that's who they are gravitated to. That's who they're comfortable with. That's their safety, and there's sometimes that in itself, it's like, wow, like some little person is looking for me specifically, you know what I mean? And that's also amazing. Like you guys do amazing. And when you were cutting his hair, I'm like, I don't know how they do this. Cause I'd be like, oh my gosh, so many kids, like my little guy, he was okay. And then he starts like moving around, and I was like, I would freak out and panic. I'd be like, you're staying that way. Like, you're not good. I'm not doing this anymore.
I feel like that's what a lot of stylists are like. I know that's what a lot of stylists are like. No, they move too much. And I'm like, well, not yes and no. But like, you get used to it. It's just like your parenthood. Like you are a different mom for each kid. And you were a different mom for your oldest. You're a different mom for these last ones. And it's all based on experience. Right. Like the way that I do things now wasn't the same way I did things 10, 20 years ago with
100%. That's a good way of putting it. And I didn't think about that. Like you do parent every child so differently. We kind of adapt
like
to whatever.
We were talking about toolboxes the other day. Like you have a toolbox, and those are your tools to make things happen. That's a good way of looking at it. It just gives you
a way of not feeling like you were less of a parent for one and more of a parent for others. Because some will need more attention than the others. Some will need more from you than the others. And and kids are so like adaptable too. Like they're
resilient.
Like I think that you do your best as a parent, but to them you are the best. Like they don't see the flaws. They don't see like the and it's good. They don't see the hard part of it. They just see mom and dad.
I don't know. That's a little scary too, because they're like, I don't know about you, but like the first time I realized my parents didn't know everything, I was very disappointed. I was like, disappointed. Oh, I'm doomed.
No, and you know what? I think parenting at like, I don't know your ages, but I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s. It was so like, I think about like how my parents would like do some things. I'm like, I would never leave my kid alone for the whole work day, but they were left, like they had no other choice. That was what it was. Like I'm the oldest of 3, and I was home with my siblings, like taking care of them at like 11 because my parents were like at work. I was in charge of getting them off the bus and getting them home, and at least homework started. Like, I think that the responsibility was so much.
It
was on the kids more so than, I don't know. It's just crazy the times that we lived in.
Well, I say that all the time here, where it's like the way the kids talk and interact with us is so different because they're around adults all the time. And I mean, I feel like they are missing out on a part of childhood that is important, like going out and adventuring, because like our parents were able to keep the house clean because we were outside all the time. They kicked us out of the house. Get out, go away.
We were out till the sun went down.
Oh man, I never really thought of that.
It's true.
You were never in the house.
Housekeeping was a lot easier back then.
And then there was always that living room. Like we didn't have it, but my neighbor Opal had it. The living room you're not allowed to go into.
Oh,
and
like the formal living room.
And it had like all the weird decorations.
Nobody touched anything in that room.
We had one of those growing up. We had like a small, modest house, but they outfitted the basement, and the basement had its own kitchen and like living area, and that's the one that trashed.
Oh, okay.
The upstairs one was like right off of the main entrance. It didn't have. I don't think it had the plastic on the couches, but that's the one that it honestly didn't even have a TV in it. It had an old like record player, and that never used that one.
No, that's true. And I remember like my parents would they'd be like, you guys are gonna go ride your bikes, and we'd be gone for like, I was like, I explored like all these streets, neighborhoods,
and we didn't have any way of contacting our parents.
No.
You were just
unless
out
you
there.
had someone who was going back there really fast.
Go give them a message for
Well, it's
me.
like I'm totally on that road of like I feel like we're safer now than we ever have been because we have so much electronics to keep an eye on us.
Yeah.
1,000%.
100%. And it's
Air
like, why aren't
tags
they? Yeah. So it's like, let them play. Let them play.
Yeah. I just kind of started, like, I think I was a mama bear. Like, what do they call them? Helicopter mom for a while. I think it was because of just the fact that I was like, so many, and I was like, what do I do? Like, I have to keep them under like my radar because if not, like, there's so many. I'm outnumbered. My husband works. We're in a single income home. He works and I'm home, but I would be like that because I was like, I'm not losing a child. Like, what am I gonna do? So I'd be like, you're not going. You're staying right here. But now I've slowly started to be like, okay, you can explore. Just go out there. Just in phones. Like my 11-year-old has his phone, so I'm like, I'm gonna just call you just to check in on you. Okay, mom. And he's super mature, and he's like, he'll sometimes check in and he's like, Mom, I'm okay. I'm like, well, thanks for letting me
I haven't
know.
heard from you in a while, Mom.
Just letting you know.
Nice. Yeah. So it is true. Like, times have changed completely. It's crazy to think like what our childhood was like compared to what theirs is now, you know.
We're doing a VBS thing right now for the kids during the summer, right? Like a little vacation Bible school or something. And I took my my youngest to drop her off there because the other two had other things to do. And what does she have on? She always has this little AirTag necklace. Like, I know, which is unfortunate, but we know where our kids are at every moment. Yeah.
No, it is. I think it's just like the peace of mind for parents.
It
now,
is. It does feel better.
Yeah.
I heard this a long time ago that within parenting and like child rearing, maturity doesn't start with like a maturing child doesn't start at any certain age. It starts with responsibility. Yeah. And so like, if you think about it, you see all those, maybe some of those videos from maybe a third world country or something, and there's a toddler making dinner for like the entire family. It's because maturity doesn't start at a certain age. Because I have a 13-year-old who, funny story, we just started giving him a little bit more autonomy. Okay. And he was gonna, we live on the south side of town, not far from Tremper High School. Okay. Literally, you can walk there and back and not break a sweat. Yeah. It's fine. Yeah. We live down the road a little bit, and so we're like, all right, Leon, you're gonna go to your summer class by yourself on your bike, and you have a house key, you have a phone, and so he's like, okay, I think I can handle that. He likes riding his bike. It's fine. He's 13. And I'm out in the garage. We're setting up the bike. I'm showing him what this and that works. And a white panel van, like a work van, drives by. Because I think someone's getting their house redone. And they're driving kind of slowly because they're looking for an address. Yeah. And so the white van drives by. And I look at my son and he's like, that was scary. I was like, dude, nobody wants a stinky 13-year-old, bro. Like, you're gonna be fine. Yeah.
But
it's funny, right? Like, I know I over coddle my children, but it's tough not to.
Exactly.
Well, but also there's that stigma if you're not that parent.
Sure.
If you are that parent.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I mean, we ran amok all the time in our neighborhood to the point where CPS was called on my parents. Oh my gosh. And I got interviewed at school, and like looking back at it now, like back then I was just like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I go home and tell my parents, and like, oh, that's probably the other kid. They were probably calling on the other kid. And now I'm like, no, they were calling on us because we don't know. Well, he was overseas, and then she was doing her own thing. But it's like, and I also never wore a jacket or shoes because I was a feral child. But like, you don't want to be that parent. Yeah. You don't want to be the one that lets their kids do whatever and not watch their kids. Like, where's your, like, I know we've all said it, like, where are your parents?
Who do you belong to?
Yeah, it is true. I think it's also like the fear. Like, back when our parents were, when we were kids, it was like way easier to like parent, I feel like. Well, maybe not way easier, but there wasn't as much like attention on you, your eyes on
Yeah.
you to be the perfect parent.
Yeah.
Emotional neglect was a big thing.
Jeez.
That's hilarious. Yo, it's crazy. I think that parenting nowadays is a lot. It's more of like a, what is it, like a standard? Like there's like a standard
Sure.
to it now, because you have to follow. You have to like try to be, like you said, like not get CPS called on
Yeah.
you for something that might not need to be called on. But people now are so overly sensitive about things that it's like,
Well, and they're overly precautious. Like there is a point where you should teach your kids safety.
yeah,
But
100%.
keeping them away from everything so that
Yeah.
they never experience like going down to the creek and digging
Yep.
out whatever.
yeah,
But
worms,
That was
like my kids.
that was what we did.
yeah, we would go to the park and we would go in underneath the bridge.
Under
and
the bridge.
There's like it was a tiny bridge,
Yeah.
but we would pull out crawdads.
Yeah,
Oh.
And
same.
and then I remember like a couple of the kids like
Chopping
they're like little homicidal maniacs. But they're now it's like you said, back when we were kids, it was weird if you stayed inside all the time.
Yeah.
But now it's weird if you see a
If you
kid
go
outside and you're
outside.
like, what's that
Where's
kid
their
doing?
parent?
But then I feel bad because we're all criticizing. All they do is play on their devices.
Yeah.
Well, what choice did
Totally.
you give them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's like what all kids do right now.
I felt that way the other day. I was driving to the store really quickly,
Yeah.
and I see these kids no older than 7 or 8. So there's an older brother. It looked like an older brother, a little brother, and they were on scooters.
Okay.
7-year-old and maybe a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Maybe 7 and 9.
Okay.
Okay. But still young within that bracket. And they were on like one of the main roads on the sidewalk, but with their scooter. And there aren't too many houses in that area. I'm like, part of me was like, oh, that's cool. They're doing their thing. And then the other part of me was like, why are these kids out here? Where are their parents?
Yeah. No, I get it. I agree. I think that you're kind of damned if you do and damned
Yeah.
if you don't.
well, there's that show. I think it's Chinese or Japanese, and they send little kids to run an errand,
Oh.
and they videotape the kid going to do the errand and come back home.
Yeah.
And like in some place, like in some of these instances, like most of the kids go to the store, do what they're supposed to, go back home, and there's no issue.
Yeah.
I mean, a couple of the kids like, oh, what is that? And you can tell
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the kid that
The curious kid.
the ADD kid who's like, ooh, a flower.
Yeah.
But it just like he was saying earlier, like
Yeah.
kids are more capable than we give them credit for. And I know a lot of people whose kids don't even have chores, have never had chores.
Yeah.
And it's like you're doing them a disservice because when they do have to live on their
Yep.
own,
Yeah.
if they don't know how to do this, they're going to be that gross kid
Yeah.
who doesn't
Sure.
know how to clean after themselves and using an Axe body spray
Yeah.
instead of a shower.
100%. I agree. I completely agree. Yeah. Like I think it's a fine line between like being helpful to your child and then like messing up
Yeah.
their adulthood, because you're like, my husband all the time, like my son would forget stuff for school, like his
Sure.
laptop or and I'm like, well, I'm home, like I might as well just take it to him, and my husband would be like, you're enabling him, like don't
Yeah.
do it, and I'm like, but then he'll get in trouble.
That's tough. Yeah.
So I'm like,
I've heard
"Oh."
that too. And my 13-year-old, he would forget his gym bag all the
Yeah.
time. And if he didn't have his gym clothes,
Yeah.
it's like it's like marked absent
Yeah.
basically. And so I would, I don't have to be to the shop until 10. So usually I have a little bit of time. I could just run it over there.
Yeah.
But I had heard, I think I saw it somewhere. Someone told me, they were like, if they forget it, don't take it. They got to learn that
Yeah.
responsibility. And that's
Yeah,
tough,
That is.
man.
That's a tough part of
Yeah.
it too, because you do want to prepare them for adulthood,
Yeah.
to be responsible adults, but then you're like, but I remember getting in trouble. My mom never came for me because she
Yeah.
was working full time. So
Working the whole time.
I was like, I want to be like, where is that happy medium
Yeah.
between what my mom, full time working mom, and me being a stay at home mom? Like, where can I kind of mesh those
Yeah.
two?
Well, when I got a retainer, my mom told me, you get one free one. So if you break this, you lose it, whatever, I pay for the next one. But after that, you pay for it. And so I feel like that is pretty fair.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'll give you 3 outs.
Yeah.
Like, if you forget it, you get 3.
Yeah.
Use them wisely.
Yeah.
So, like, our high school, we were able to pay to borrow a gym uniform if we didn't have a uniform. But that also meant you had to have money.
Yeah.
But there were plenty of times where I'm like, oh, crud, I forgot. I just need to borrow one real quick.
Yeah.
That would have saved me a lot of driving if they could have done that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Listen, if anybody at CLS in the
Gym department.
in the gym department would
Rent out.
put that in there, that'd be great.
Well, you had to hope that they had your size, though.
Yeah,
So
Leon's
like-
pretty thin.
Yeah, I was gonna say when
He
if
wears a
you're
thin
more
size.
like certain sizes had more sizes than others.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure, more
For
of a
sure.
You
traditional
have to
size.
wear like a 3X shirt.
Yeah.
You're like a small. No, yeah, I get it. No.
All right, Miss Zeleiny, we're gonna wind down real quick,
Sounds good.
really fast. Someone going through these health issues, PCOS, infertility, even the idea of, man, why is this not happening now when I so want it? What would you say to those people?
First of all, I would definitely suggest joining a lot of Facebook is amazing with support groups. Like there's so many women that you come across in these support groups that are specifically for PCOS, or there's some for specifically endometriosis, whatever it is. Like find your people, like find the people that
Community.
you can relate to. Yes, community, because 100% you're not the only one going through it, but you don't, at the time you don't know that, and you feel like you're alone, and you're not. Like there's so many people that have so many good resources and bring that to you when you join those communities, and it's amazing because I learned so much about PCOS through those communities. And honestly, like your health comes first above all things. Like yes, the infertility is obviously a heartbreak, but also make sure that you're okay physically. Like if you see something wrong with how like your cycles, you think your hormones, things that are just not normal, that used to be normal, like get checked. Like I advocate for like finding out as soon as you see something wrong is the best. Like you catch things early, and there's way more treatments nowadays. Like there's things that can still be done to prevent certain things, or to, you know, maybe help with certain symptoms, things like that. Like more medications that they're offering. Like I 100% would say like take care of your health first before you worry about the fertility part of it. Like that will come as you go, like if you decide to go that route, but definitely take care of your health first, because there's hormone imbalance is horrible. Like there's so many side effects from it, and you need to take care of that first. But the main thing I think is, like I said earlier, like just know that there's a plan for you, and that it's okay not to go through this the way everyone expects you to go through this. Like it's okay for you to take the back roads. It's okay for you to do U-turns and, you know, pivot and whatever you have to do. Like it will come to you, whatever it is. Doesn't matter what, maybe not what you want it to be, but something good will come to you. Like I think that's the main thing. Like whatever it is that your heart desires, it might not come when you want it. It might not come how you expected it, but something good will come to you. Like I'm very big on like you put good out into the world, it's gonna come back to you. So
I love that.
Yeah. So I think definitely for sure 100% look for your community, take care of your health, and you know just have patience and faith, and know everything will turn out okay.
And mental health.
Mental health, big time. Yeah, that's 100%. Mental health too. Take care of yourself. Mental health is definitely one of the big things too.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm so excited
we could have
that
talked
we
for
were
another
able to-
2 hours.
I
Thank you.
know.
We're gonna have to have you
I'm
back.
excited. Yeah, I'm so excited. Of course, anytime.
Yeah.
I love this. You guys are doing an amazing job. So I'm so excited to listen
Thanks.
to all your guys' episodes. I'm gonna have to tell my kids that I'm famous now with Ralph and
You are famous. You are famous now.
Well, thank you guys for the time. I appreciate you guys both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Let's go.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of Y'all Be Good. And as always, a reminder that we are a project of Little Lion Cuts. We hope you've enjoyed these stories just as much as we have enjoyed sharing them. Every family has a story, and we're just grateful that we get to hear yours too. If you've enjoyed today's episode and you think someone else might need to hear it, don't forget to share this podcast with them. And hey, while you're at it, be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. That really does go a long way. You definitely don't want to miss out on any of the real, raw, and inspiring conversations we've got lined up. And we'd love to hear your stories too. So go ahead and find us on Instagram at y'allbegoodpod or drop us a message with your thoughts. And until next time, y'all be good.